It's Listen In with KNN, the sports sound of the district. Today, we welcome a former standout from the football ranks. After he played his college ball at Villanova, he signed with the Washington football team as an undrafted free agent in 2009. He was waived early on, but later added to the team's practice squad. In 6 seasons with Washington, he relished as a fullback, making plays such as this.
A lot of time, thinks about running. Has a man wide open. It's Darrel Young, the fullback, who breaks free. And Darrel Young has a 62-yard touchdown catch.
He would then finish out his NFL career with brief stints in Chicago and Carolina. We now welcome Darrel Young to this live stream of Listen In with KNN with your host, Kelsey Nicole Nelson. It's Listen In with KNN, the sports sound of the district. We bring you the biggest guests, great analysis, and the hottest sports stories in the nation's capital and beyond. And we bring it to you live. Welcome to this live stream broadcast of Listen In with KNN. Here's your host, Kelsey Nicole Nelson.
All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome in to another live stream edition of Listen In with KNN, presented right here on our home station, Fox Sports Radio, 96.9 FM and 1340 AM, with me, your host, Kelsey Nicole Nelson. Now, I am so excited for today's show. You guys know we're based in Washington, D.C., so we have to talk about the home team. So I decided to bring in a homer who played some great years with our very own Washington football team. He is none other than former Washington football team fullback Darrel Young, and he is about to join me live talking all about his football career, what's next for the Washington football team this season, and of course, maybe we'll talk about winning the NFC East again. We're going to have a lot of fun on this show, and you all won't want to miss it. Without further ado, please help me welcome in Darrel Young. Darrel, how are you today?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me.
It's my pleasure. It's my pleasure. Look, people love the home team. So we got to talk up the Washington football team, all right? All positive, Darrel.
All positive. It's all good. It's all good.
So tell me, how are you feeling? How are you doing? We know COVID is still a thing. I know you're back in New York, right? The hometown. So everyone's still with you and your family?
Yeah, everything is good. Everyone walked away unscathed. We all had COVID, so we got it. We made it through. That's all I'll say. We made it through.
Yeah.
So,
oh my gosh, your whole family did?
Whole family. Oh my
gosh. And you guys are all okay though?
We're all okay. We walked away and we're all walking today. So yes, we were fortunate.
Oh my gosh. I can only imagine how scary that was. Well, all vaccinated now, right?
All vaccinated now because it worked too. It kind of forced it a little earlier just before I can do some research. We're fully vaccinated now.
All right, good. That's good to hear. You're the first person I've heard say that. Usually people say, everything's well, we're fine, we're healthy. I wasn't expecting that, but I'm glad you all are doing well. How's New York? How's it going to be back home?
Well, it's good. So I'm actually, we'll talk about it later, I'm sure. But, I just got back to Pittsburgh, actually, because we started training camp. But, I know this is Washington focused, so I'm going to be respectful tonight.
Yeah, we keep that goal, but that's not our goal. But it's okay. We'll still welcome you with open arms on the show, even though you switch sides, switch teams. But again, glad to have you. And while we're talking about New York, let's start there. Hometown, Amityville, New York. I'll be honest with you, Darrel. Most of us know when we think of New York, we're thinking of Manhattan, the big lights, the big city. I am a scary movie person. So I feel like the first time time I heard that you're from Amityville, I was like, oh yeah, the Amityville horror. I don't know if you get that a lot, but that's the first thing that came to mind. But tell us about growing up in Amityville and how you first found your love of football.
Yeah, so being honest, New York or Long Island is one of the most segregated places in the world. I'm just being honest. Even my hometown, but yeah, I was fortunate. Both of my parents I grew up in the home of both of my parents. My dad cleaned banks and drove an ambulance during the day. My mom worked at the bank, so that's how they met. They've been married for 43 years this year. So
congratulations to them. We love long love.
Yeah, my brother, my brother served 21 years in the military. He just retired out 2 years ago now. So, growing up in Amityville, like you said, it's the Amityville horror. So everyone knows that. And honestly, I'm okay with that. I'm cool.
Yeah.
If that's how you're going to remember me, hey, it gets me in the door. That's a conversation starter. But opportunity, that was what it was about. It's an opportunity, and still go back home. I serve. We gave some cleats back to the high school last week, so it was pretty cool.
Amazing. And I know you're known for your community work, and I love that you give back. I think it's so important to give back, especially to the community in which you come from. And you talk about the community in which you come from as being segregated. I'm curious. So you said it's always been segregated. Has it gotten any better at all, Darrel? Or do you think there's still lots of work to do?
You know what? From a global perspective, it's segregated on the map, but I can walk across the other side of town and be treated the same just because I play football, So I experienced it in a lot of ways, but I was also treated fairly because I was an athlete, and that's just the reality of what it is. So we try to bridge that gap, and, you look for impact and intention, not so much more, what color do people look like.
Yeah, you talked about the impact and intention, and it goes a long way. We're going to talk a lot about your community service work, but let's stay on that football part. So you talked about growing up playing football, and since you touched on it being segregated growing up, I'm curious. So was your football team growing up, was it pretty much all black? Was it pretty segregated? Or did it not matter when it came to football because y'all just wanted to win out there? How was it?
Yeah, we were segregated. I mean, I think that's sports in general. Anytime you're in a community or a town that like Amityville, it's diverse in a lot of ways. But I was exposed to, I grew up playing my little league. We didn't have a little league team in Amityville. We couldn't afford it. We couldn't afford the equipment. It was never enough funding and backing behind it. So I played in the community next to me, which was predominantly white. So grew up there. Well, some of those kids that I was playing with there who looked like me came over to the high school. So we had camaraderie. We had an understanding. We gelled, from day one, and then we just brought everyone else in. So opportunity. Football was amazing. I actually, basketball is a better story. We had 4 state rings, 6 in a row. We beat LeBron.
Count on yourself, clap on yourself, because you did.
I'm just saying, we beat LeBron, so that's our claim to fame. But we were ranked in the nation, so did that, and did track as well too. I wasn't very fast, but I knew I needed to learn how to run and just work on my conditioning. But overall, absolutely, overall, great opportunity. The guys I played with. Great people, great friends, doing well in the business world now. So that's what you want to see.
And we love that, right? Life after. And it's good to hear everyone's doing well. And it's good that you were multi-sport, because we talk about that now, right? I feel like many people do preach to athletes now, Darrel, that to not only be one sport, because you learn so many skills in other sports. I know this because you used to work in the NFL. Guys are doing yoga, ballet, Irish dancing, right? Remember Alex Collins here in Baltimore, but so many different things, right? To get different skills. And so it sounds like that's your message, right? To high school student athletes out there. You don't only have to do one sport. And it sounds like you're kind of pushing to do multiple sports because it can help you, because you never know when you're going to need that skill, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Everything is transferable. So I look at my daughter now, I'm learning karate, I'm learning swimming. We go to the pool, we go to the park, we do different things. We play around with our friends and throw punches. But, watching her do it, watching field hockey in college, some of these different things, I didn't realize how important it was to do different things. And football taught me, just in terms of discipline and working together with a team. In basketball, doing the same. But in track, when I was doing my 100 meters, it was an individual event. But overall, I had to have my individual accomplishments to support the overall goal, which is to win the track meet or the dual meet. So different approaches, different understanding, but all, with the common goal of winning and serving.
Yeah. So what you're saying is Darrel Young, 2025, the next Olympics, right? Because you're doing all these things, you're learning all these skills. So you just never know. And it's great that you're also teaching your little one these skills. They're going to get a question from the fans, from Jamel Cutler, a loyal fan of this show. How did basketball help you as a football player specifically?
Honestly, just footwork. So, the late great Kobe Bryant, he spoke about vision. He was big on vision. They said he took 1,000 shots a day without the ball. And I was like, damn, why am I not doing that with the football? Why am I not envisioning, just basically just getting through the line of scrimmage, seeing the next level, seeing the bigger picture. So working in basketball, I played it with some great guys. Jason Frazier, who was in the McDonald's All-American, blew out his knee 5 times when he went to Villanova. And he was he was hired. He was ranked higher than Amari Stoudemire. He should have went to the NBA, but chose a different route. He's doing good things. AJ Price played in the league for some time. We had some other guys go to Duke, so we had a great basketball program. But it just taught me how to come together differently from football, because I was okay at football, but basketball, I was just a guy just running around playing defense, But it taught me. The lesson that I learned from it was get uncomfortable to get to where you want to go to. And even though you may not be the best in that sport, you add value, find your value, stick to it, and master that.
I love that. You add value, stick to that, and master that. And obviously you did, because you went on to play football at the highest of high levels. And let's talk about Villanova. So when we hear Villanova, many people just think basketball. And I know you hear this all the time, but y'all did have some good football, and you were able to hone your football skills there. And you actually switched positions, right? Playing linebacker and safety at Villanova. How did that kind of help you in order to prepare for the next level? Because then you go into the NFL and of all positions play fullback.
I tell you what, I was spoiled. I was very spoiled in college. I was lazy. I didn't work hard. I had a coach. The reason why I switched positions is a coach told me I wasn't good enough to play, because I was good enough to play, but I didn't work hard enough. And at the time, I hated him. I didn't understand it. But when you reflect and you sit back, that senior year, I was put in a situation where it was either, I'm not going to say make or break, because it's not always about making it to the professional ranks. But if I wanted to do something at the next level, I had to grow up. And that's what college taught me. That's what Villanova taught me. But you got Brian Westbrook, you got Howie Long, like you have some guys. Bubba Ventrone's the special teams coordinator for the Colts right now. So we had some guys that played significant time in the league. And
and Brian Westbrook has ties to this area, so we like Brian Westbrook here.
D-West, and I played with Byron, up in D.C. So it was a good time. But I learned a lot about life, and I didn't understand it until I left. And then also being at a PWI, honestly, it was a way to grow up, because that was what the business world looked like. So how do you engage? How do you connect? How do you reflect? Everyone communicates, but not everyone connects. So understanding how to do that, Villanova taught me that.
Yeah, 4-year starter at Villanova, right? And we're talking about college football a lot right now, really college sports in general, because we see this NIL ruling. They're about to get paid, Darrel, in college now. Are you jealous at all?
I'm not jealous. You know what? Because I think about when I was playing in the league, the guys who played pre-93 before that CBA, they were like, oh, you guys are so lucky you're getting all this money. And I was like, but you paid homage. You paved the way for us to do that.
Right.
So I want to pay homage. So now of course I would want to be playing during this time, but at the end of the day, it's about damn time. That's what I'm going to say. It's about damn time. Pay these dudes.
Yeah, they deserve it, right? I mean, they put so much work in, and like you said, to say that you can do all this for the university, but you can't get a paycheck. Like, what's that about? They gotta eat. They want things to do, and I think now getting paid for the likeness that they've built themselves, the brand that they've built, and again, we see the millions of dollars going to these colleges and universities. We see these $1 million coaching contracts. Why should the athletes not get paid? So I think you're right. It's about time. It's long overdue, but glad that 2021 was finally the year to see that happen. And I love that you touted on Villanova football, because again, Villanova, I'm telling y'all, watch out. It goes beyond just basketball. As you said, a lot of great athletes, and hence, i.e., I'm talking to one right here on this show. And so we go from Villanova to, of course, going to the professional level. I think your NFL story is just something really amazing and something to talk about, right? So you get undrafted out of Villanova, right? Cut your first year, and you get brought back to the Washington football team by Coach Mike Shanahan. What was going through your mind at that time, right? You finally want to get to the next level. You're finally there. At first, it doesn't work out, Darrel, and then all of a sudden, you get that second chance and opportunity.
It was the hardest thing I ever went through in my life. I went from, it's a roller coaster of emotions, and people don't understand that with the NFL. You see all the glory in the fame, but I got cut 3 times in 24 hours. I worked at Finish Line for 6 months. I went back to Redskin Park with $42 in my account. I parked my car for 3 weeks because I couldn't afford to put gas in it. So I took the shuttle every day, and I didn't do anything on the weekends. And if I did, I walked. So it was an opportunity to sit back and say, I know what I don't want, and I don't want to be at home. And there's nothing wrong with working at Finish Line. But if someone else would have came in and told me that they weren't happy with their damn sneakers, I was going to be in trouble. But I had to understand how to make that transition, but I wasn't ready. And in my mind, I said, I'm going to wait till I'm 25. And if I haven't made a team by then, Scott, whatever, go figure out what it is that you want to do. But it was tough. I was alone. You felt like, all the weight was on your shoulders. You try to produce for your family. You try to produce for yourself, and you feel like you failed. And that's the hardest thing. And you don't know where the resources are, because if you're not a basketball player, you don't qualify. So, it was hard. But at the end of the day, you know what? It was a learning lesson. I'm glad I went through it now. Going through it, no, it was terrible. But now I can look back and say, man, you ain't been through nothing I ain't been through. But I'm not comparing your situation. I'm telling you, I understand, and here's how I can assist you get to where you need to go to.
Words of wisdom. We're adding motivational speaker to that resume of yours, Darrel, because you were already inspired. And think about it. That's hard. Talk 3 times in 24 hours, and somehow you're trying to keep your head up because you had a dream and you knew your purpose and you were going to use your passion to make that purpose come true. And to that point, I'm curious, did you have any mentors or anybody along the way, Darrel, that were helping you just kind of with that difficult time? Because again, everybody wants to make it pro. You talk to young athletes all the time. Every time I go speak to students, every young guy in the class tells me, you're going to be covering me one day because, I'm going to the NFL. I'm going to go pro. So is there anybody that you kind of just could lean on or, cry if you needed to, or just someone that could offer you guidance as you tried to kind of figure that out?
God, because that was the first person I called. That's the first person I always call.
Yeah,
but
it should be, yes.
But you know what? My mom and my dad and my brother, because they were in my life. Again, my brother was serving, the country. So how can I be upset about entertaining when someone's out there fighting for their life? I watched my dad clean banks. I watched my mom, grind for us, never complain. And I didn't realize how broke we were because I had love. I had love. There was nothing else. I had love.
The most important thing ever, yes.
Yeah. So it was just a time in my life where you just look back and you're like, damn. But I had those people. I had my foundation, and they stuck with me throughout, and they're still with me today. And every time I've needed to pick me up, everyone, that my family's always been there for me.
That's huge. That family support is huge. And, as we talk about that, I'm just curious, are there anytime, we know everyone doesn't have the same family structure, right? So anytime you're talking to these young guys that might not have that support in their immediate family or those caring adults in their immediate family, what words of advice would you give to them on just finding the right people in your corner as you try to kind of just navigate life, not even just football?
Yeah, this is an experience. It's not a career. So you need to understand that, yes, you ultimately want to take care of your family, but ultimately you don't owe anyone anything, because as a parent, you want to do that for your kid, and you take care of mom and dad. I'm not saying that. You don't owe anyone anything except yourself. And that's what you need to understand. The pressure that comes outside of those white lines is going to be pressure because of what you do on a daily, but understand what pays the bills. Have fun and listen to understand, and all the people will weed themselves out. You will see your true people the first week of the season. And that's when people start asking for tickets. That's people start asking for handouts. People got $1,100 electricity bills, all these things that you've never seen. But at the end of the day, it's the people closest to you, and they weed it out. So, you kind of sit back and just watch people. It's not the athlete, it's the people around the athlete.
It's true. I say that sometimes. I think automatically people always think, when people go pro that they change. And sometimes it's not that they change. It's sometimes the people around them that change that makes that person have to change their attitude towards them. Because, when everybody starts hitting you up for everything, of course you don't have to, but, you're human. You can do so much. So I appreciate you touching on that. Just keeping it real and keeping it 100, which we like to do on this show. And going back to Washington, so you talk about just the difficulty and adversity you faced. And if that wasn't enough, then Coach Mike Shanahan suggests that you move to fullback, right? And we know kind of the rest is history. But talk about that transition for you. Was it easy? Was it hard? What was it like? And what was it like just having a coach that believed in you and wanted to make sure that they found a place for you on that team, being our Washington football team here?
Yeah, so I didn't have a choice. Mike Shanahan said, hey, we drafted Rakpo last year, as you know. We spent a lot of money on defense with Albert Haynesworth. We got to pay him. We have 13 linebackers. You ain't making this team as a linebacker. We have one fullback, Mike Sellers. Mike is in a situation where, he's making a lot of money. He's a damn good fullback. We want you to learn from him. And I said, okay, cool. I didn't have a choice. But that transition is different because on defense, you come into the huddle and it's like, hey, cover 2. That tells me everything I need to know. Versus offense, it's like, hey, strong right, 3-jet, X. I'm like, what is this?
You're like, hold on.
Protection. You told one person what to do, and how does everyone else know what to do? So it was an adjustment in terms of just understanding the overall vision and goals of what you want to accomplish out of each play, because every play is drawn up for success. So when you look at it on paper, it's like, oh, this is going to work. And then it doesn't work in the game because one guy loses. So it was tough, but I cared. I wasn't foreign to offense. I played running back in high school. I thought I was going to college as a running back. Wasn't good. So, reality hit it. But, at the end of the day, it was perfect. Kyle Shanahan believed in something that I didn't even see. So I have him to thank for I have to give him all the credit in the world.
Yeah, and I think that's huge. That's huge. And like you said, you found a spot, you found a place, and you made the most of that opportunity. I think that's huge because, again, I think sometimes we see some people are just stuck on what they want to play. But you were told, look, if you want to be on this team, you're going to have to find a way to do it. And you did. And you went on to play 6 seasons here in Washington. And not only that, a 3-time captain, right, of the Washington football team. So talk about you go from getting cut multiple times to being a captain and a leader and a voice of that team. What was that like to just know that the guys believed in you, the coaching staff believed in you, and that you were ultimately one of the true leaders of one of the storied franchises in the National Football League?
Yeah, so honestly, I just looked at myself as a servant leader, and I was always looking to assist guys of where they were, and I was kind of that guy in the locker room to be a resource, to be understanding, stay late because a guy was just going through something at home, and me trying to be fix it all. That was just me, so I actually cared, and I care about people, and that's to a fault sometimes, because you get burned sometimes, but it is what it is. I can go to sleep at night knowing that I said who did I serve and how did I help them today, and then how did I help them at the end of the day. But it was good. People see me in the community. I think the best thing is hearing people speak about your character sometimes, and I like that. And I don't know what people say all the time, but the few comments that I had, it's like, okay, my legacy is in the community, and I'm okay with that.
Huge. That's huge. My favorite quote is, what we do in life echoes in eternity. And at the end of the day, all the great things we do on the football field are great, but when we go on the ground, we can't take any of that stuff with us, right, Darrel? So what we can do is how we make people feel and what we leave in the community. I think that's why it's so important. And you not only talked about it, you followed up your actions and actually did this. And I will say, saying your name, it's all positive. All positive. Oh, you got Darrel on? I loved him. I wish he was back here. We wish he was back in the community. We love seeing his face, and he did so much for our community. That being said, you did the USO tour and lots here. You were the Walter Payton Man of the Year for the Washington football team, formerly the Redskins. When you look back and just know that you're known and remembered for your community service work, especially here, and I'll say DC, your adopted hometown, how does that make you feel?
Great, because again, you're tied to just being a human. And anytime you can humanize yourself and people look at you as more than an athlete, like, I love that. Like, when I think about LeBron James, and I'm not comparing myself to LeBron at all, but it's more so like you think about all of the things he's done, and basketball is almost secondary now.
Yeah,
because
his promise to school and everything else, right, that he's doing. And let's talk about that, because more than an athlete did become a hashtag, right? I think it was last year when it kind of took off, because we're having athletes talk about so much more. And for some reason, even in 2021, Darrel, sometimes people think that you can't be more than just an athlete. And I'm sure you've had these conversations with players that you're working with, maybe even now on the Pittsburgh Steelers side of it. So what would you say? What's encompassed in being an athlete? I talk to guys sometimes around, keep it 100 with you. Somebody say, Kelsey, I love playing football, but I didn't sign up to be a role model. But they're lost in this world where they ultimately become role models. So kind of like, what's your thoughts on that? Is it pivotal? Is it vital that every player should be giving back and just doing things to kind of help the next generation? Because at the end of the day, look, football is going to end. It's going to have an ending point. But your community service work, I would say, there's no ticking time bomb on that. There's no clock on that.
Yeah, I always tell guys, just bring somebody with you, because it's always a better experience. When you travel out of the country, you bring someone with you. You have a story to tell. When you score a touchdown, go celebrate with your teammates. Well, it's the same in the community, because that one child that you went and spoke to, you impacted his life, and now he's getting better grades because he met a football player. So use your platform. And I'm not saying everyone's not vocal, but just do something. Just give back in some way, whether it be time, whether it be money, something. Just give back, because you have a social responsibility as an athlete, and if you don't want to do that, then you shouldn't really be playing the sport. And I can't say shouldn't be playing the sports, because everyone doesn't have to. But at the end of the day, like, people are coming to see you play. They're paying your salary to watch you play.
Right.
Get back to the people who come support you on a daily in some aspect. That's just my mindset.
It's true. It's true. Like you said, people come to support you. The fans are giving their hard-earned dollars to come and watch you play. I think it's so important. Again, you just can't forget the people that support you, to show love and to kind of give back to them. And as we talk about showing love beyond your community service work, let's go back to the football field. You also help multiple teammates make the Pro Bowl. So like, you were doing it off the field and on the field, and just being the teammate. I feel like that's underrated sometimes. Sportsmanship is underrated sometimes. And, and I get it. In the NFL, you're competing for your spot. It's not promised. But how important was it for you to be able to kind of get back in that locker room and see other guys ultimately achieve their football dreams?
You know what? Alfred Morris, Trent Williams, they were the two who made the Pro Bowl consistently. RG3, everyone knows what an impeccable rookie year he had. It was amazing to come in the locker room and see the smiles on guys' faces who knew that they were doing a good job, but they did it, and they did it in a loving way. They brought their families with them. They brought their teammate with them. It was never I. It was we, not me. We had Sean McVay. We had Kyle Shanahan. We had Matt LaFleur. All these guys are head coaches. So it spoke something about that locker room in terms of, the value add that those guys brought, but also from the leadership standpoint. When we talk about leadership versus management. So, when you think about it from that aspect, like those guys were leaders. They weren't just good football players who made the Pro Bowl. And to try to tie me in, I was just trying to serve those guys and serve the other 52 that I was playing alongside every Sunday.
Yeah, they're so humble. They're so humble. So now I'm going to brag on you since you want to be humble. Let's talk about that game. 3 touchdowns. Our Washington football team topped the San Diego Chargers in overtime. What a game. What a game. When you look back at that game, what did that game significance mean to you? When you are just having a game that is one for the record books, right? Is one that fans will remember for years to come. What was that feeling like for you?
It was unreal. That whole week was unreal. Like the game, we practiced all week, and Kyle was like, "Hey, you're gonna have a good game this week." And I was like, "You say that every week." I was like, "No, you're gonna have a good game. Like there's something that I see. There's something that I see with the 3 technique, and you'll be good." Brandon Mebane likes to come up field. I want you to duck under for 2, and that last one, you're really gonna have to make a different move. And I was like, "All right, cool." He spoke it into existence. Literally, he said it to a T how it was gonna happen. But being in the locker room, being on NFL Network that week, like that whole week was lit. The whole week was lit. But it was a good time. It was a good feeling, but it was better to win the game. And I think Phillip Rivers, to this day, they went for it on fourth and 1. They gave Danny Woodhead the ball, and they had Ryan Matthews in the backfield. 230, 180. I'm cool with it. We stopped them. We drove down the field. I scored. We win the game. So.
So basically, Phillip Rivers will never like you, but it's okay. It's okay.
It's
You
good.
still got love in Washington, all right? We'll make up for that lost love. And as we're talking about your position, let's talk about fullback and the evolution of fullbacks. I feel like fullbacks don't get enough love, right, in the National Football League. We know how important they are. Who comes to mind? Vonta Leach, Kyle Juszczyk, who Baltimore fans will remember that name. There's so many. James Devlin, when we talk about fullbacks, let's talk about their significance. Do you feel like the NFL gives them enough love? Do you think fans really understand that? I knew you were going to say this answer, but let's talk about why that position is so important in football.
Yeah, because it's a copycat league. So Sean McVay had success, in terms of throwing the ball with 11 personnel, which is 3 receivers, 1 tight end, and a running back. Like, we get it. We understand it. But ultimately, the running backs, the reason why the running backs aren't in, I'm going to say, is because the fullbacks ain't in. So when you talk about running backs, it's like, who are your top 5? You gotta say, you never had to do that in the 90s. You never had to do that in the early 2000s. So I'm going to say it's because the fullback isn't there, But at the end of the day, I understand the game has changed. It's going to come back. Kyle Juszczyk has done a hell of a job in San Francisco.
Amazing,
amazing job. Like, all of the guys that are still in the game, Sherman out in Kansas City, they're doing a good job when they get a chance to get in the game. And you see the difference. I think the percentage, when I was in the game, I made a joke to Jay Gruden my last year, like, Jay, we score or get a first down every time I'm in the game, right? He was like, damn, you're right. And I was like, I only got 6 snaps, but 6 of them were first downs. He was like, oh, okay. I'm like, Jay, I'm blaming you, Jay. So it's it was, we had fun with it, but I think it's time for the fullback to come back just to see that Bruiser style football again.
I love that. It's time for the fullbacks to come back. I agree with you, just point blank period. And look, Kyle Juszczyk is just a living, breathing example of that. Again, just all the great stuff that he does. And it makes a difference in the ball game. I'm talking about making a difference in the ball game again. Such a magnificent career that you had in Washington. But as we know, Darrel, all good things must come to an end. So let's talk about when it was that time to say goodbye. You're thanking the fans for 7 years in your tweet, your fans, your teammates, your coaches. But then you said you wish you could have stayed in Washington your entire career. What was that moment like for you, just knowing that you would no longer be in playing in Washington with the Washington football team, and that, your career trajectory was just different? How hard is it to say goodbye?
That was the hardest thing I ever went through in my life. I sat in my garage, I cried. It was the first time that I felt like something didn't love me as much as I loved it, and I couldn't do anything about it. You could chase girls, you can figure it out, you can show up, you can talk to them, whatever, you could do whatever to get someone back in your life. But when something doesn't love you as much, it hurts, and no one ever tells you you're done. The call I got was, hey, stay ready, we might bring you back. So it's like, damn, you're playing this waiting game. I cut off my cable, I cut off the electricity. Like, I was like, hey, Jay, man, I need to know. So, and when I went into Jay's office, I said, Jay, it's March 4th, it's 1:04 p.m. You'll never forget that. But Jay, it's 1:04 p.m. I just need to know what you're going to do because my lease is up in 30 days on my house. So what are you going to do? And he said, with all due respect, D.Y., we're going to let you test the market, but that doesn't mean we're going to bring you back. I said, Jay, I've been in this business for 7 years. I appreciate you. I would appreciate more if you didn't lie to me. Just tell me that you're moving on and going in a different direction. I will respect you more. And it's too late now. Don't say it, but I'll see you on the other side. And it's exactly what I said. So I left that day and I sat in my garage and cried. And damn, I went and did TV. I started working at Comcast, which is now NBC.
Yeah, we remember you here in this area doing a TV stint.
So my first day they had me in production. I sat there and cried because I was cutting up film of me playing. I said,
oh my gosh,
I'm not ready for this right now. And, nothing against production. It just wasn't a passion for me.
Yeah.
I got on TV. I didn't do well because I didn't prepare. And then Santana came in and D Hall came in. And I was like, you know what? I'm not the big name. So they moved me out. And I was like, man, the hell with this. Ended up signing in Chicago for a short stint. They cut me. I was at home. Then I went to Carolina. They ended up cutting Tolbert. They told me they were going to keep me. They drafted a fullback. Then they cut me while I was out looking for apartments. I'm like, man, I'm done with this. So
that was a lot.
It hurt. It hurt because again, you just I've been doing something since I was 6 years old, and no one ever told me it was over.
Yeah, and it's hard because I think, in life we're always told to prepare for that moment and opportunity, but no one really tells you to prepare what comes after that moment or opportunity. And it's true, and especially when you've been preparing for something your whole life, you've lived it, you've breathed it, you've reached the top level of it, and all of a sudden it's kind of taken from you. Again, I don't think anything can prepare you for that moment, right? And you try to cope with it as best as you can, but the thing is that you made it. I think that's the biggest thing to look at. And again, think about how many guys actually make it to that professional level, and to do it as long as you did is commendable. And again, for the franchise that you played for is commendable. But as you said, I appreciate you keeping it real, because again, that's something that most people don't talk about. Everyone sees our glory, but don't know the full story. And the story is going to really be what prepares anyone for that next level. Let's talk about the next level. So, you finish up football, and how we met is that you were the NFL manager of engagement and player relations. So going from playing for the NFL to on the management side of the NFL, what was that transition like for you?
I got to be around the game, so it was good, but I had to start doing PowerPoints, Microsoft Excel,
the business stuff,
emails. Yeah, it was great because I got to be around the game. I learned so much on Detroit Vincent, Art McAfee, like Usama Young is like my brother, like no other. We grinded, we learned. I learned so much about just the business side and things that you don't pay attention to. Right. So I always made, fun. I always talk to players like, they ask me this question, what's the difference? Well, when you're a player, when you walk in the stadium, just go that way. Just go to the locker room. Well, now that I was playing for that, I need to know the security plan. I need to know if there's a terrorist threat, like weather, like all of these things that, make up a game. You have no idea, but it was kind of cool to see that, and see it from a different perspective. You get in the officiating room. So I work in the AMGC, and what that is the replay booth on game day. So I would work a game each week, and the referees would be speaking to me and say, hey, what do you think on this? And I'm like, I don't know, man. Like, it looked like a catch to me. Don't ask me that.
Don't get us started on that catch rule, right, Darrel? You go open the whole can of worms.
It got nothing to do with it. I just relayed a message. So, but no, it was an opportunity. It was a stepping stone, and it was a good transition. I literally had got cut, and I started a month later at the NFL office. I applied that day, and I just made the decision. The final straw for me was how Uschek got hurt in San Fran. They called me. I was in my room. I was like, all right, cool. They called me. Said, hey, we're going to bring you out. Like, Uschek got hurt. We're playing the Redskins this week. We'll probably keep you for 2 or 3 weeks, and then we'll probably release you when he comes back. And I'm like, all right, cool. Another credited season. Give me some time to figure it out. Who cares? They called me back 15 minutes later and said, hey, we had a player get cut and get hurt in camp or in practice today. We can't bring you in, so be ready for next week. And I said, Mr. Lynch, with all due respect, I'm done. And that next day, the NFL office called me, and I accepted the internship position.
Wow.
And it was there for 3.5 years.
Jeez, and the rest is history. And just shows again, but how you were prepared for that moment and opportunity. And I think sometimes the hardest thing too is learning when to say no, or enough. Again, something else that we're not taught, but what you can handle and what you could do. And I mean, for some people, maybe they would have been fine waiting and just seeing what played out. But for you, just knowing that you had something more and making that ultimate decision, and then you get that phone call from the NFL, and again, to know that you're wanted, and there's nothing like being wanted, but also you wanting that. And I think it's something that obviously you went on to really love, and that's why you worked there 3.5 years. And now you can show the Steelers shirt, because now we'll transition into what you're doing now, working as the Pittsburgh Steelers, their Director of Player Development. So proud of you, even though you're kind of in enemy territory here. But, Washington fans are still having a smile over you because remember that team that messed up that undefeated season, but we won't get back to that. But working now with the Pittsburgh Steelers, talk about your role and what it's like for you working with those guys over there.
Coach Tomlin is a leader of men. I mean, you see him on TV, but the culture that he set, the standard is the standard, the business, Kevin Colbert, the Rooneys, the players in the locker room, the leaders, like I just never been around anything like it. Like just in terms of just being able to walk in and be yourself on a daily basis. I've never experienced that. Yeah. I'm so happy that I'm scared because when I don't want it to be over, but we know great things come to an end. I hope it's not for 25, 30 years, but the reality is, things come to an end. But right now I am enjoying the position. I love serving. We just finished up rookie program and we're reporting to training camp in 2 weeks. It's been great. It's been a great transition. This organization is amazing. I had a chance to visit all 32 and I respect each and every one of them, but the Steelers is different. And I'm not just saying that because I'm here. It's just different.
That's nice. Well, look, make sure you take care of our guy, Dwayne Haskins, with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Another guy with DMV roots, but it's just great to see you're happy in your job and in your role. And maybe for those who are preparing for life after football, talk about what's your role. You talked about kind of the things that you do, but what's coming up in your role? What are you really doing on a daily basis? How are you helping these players with their development?
Yeah, so some people look at it as a life coach. Some people look at it as a do-boy. Some people look at it as a mentor. I'm just a servant. I'm a servant leader. I just try to get in front of all the things that players are going to need to know. Come into the area. What do you need to know when you come to Pittsburgh? Life skills, financial education, continuing education. How many guys need to get back into school? Personal and professional development. So those are kind of the 4 pillars that I live by, and really just serve, equip, and empower is my personal mission statement. So anytime that I can answer those questions, again, when I wake up, who can I help and how can I help them? And at night is who did I help and how did I help them?
I love that.
So if I can answer those questions, then sky's the limit. But really, just being a resource for the guys on a daily basis.
Yeah. So where do we go in Pittsburgh, Darrel? Can we get a hint into what you're telling the guys?
So Permane Brothers,
eat, shop. What are we doing?
Yeah. So Permane Brothers, you got to do it. I got expensive taste. I go to Walmart. But honestly, Permane Brothers. I know Eddie V's is a chain, but there's a lot of good things here, and still learning the area. It's been 2 months, but Mount Washington is great. There's some restaurants up there. Station Square. I know I'm just throwing things out there, but it's a unique place, and I had no idea that Pittsburgh has so much history.
Yeah, Pittsburgh is great, but then we might have to check in with you when the wintertime comes and all that snow comes.
I'm from New York, so I'm good.
But then again, you're used to it, right? You're East Coaster, so you're used to it. But again, it's just great to hear that you're thriving in your new role. And you talked about training camp. We're also excited about training camp here in Washington. We know our Washington football team will also be doing training camp in Richmond. It's a fun time. Any fun training camp memories, Darrel?
Rookie shows.
But what were they doing to the rookies? Give us the deeds there.
I can't say hazing because that's illegal now. But and honestly, just getting up, like Kirk Cousins doing a Mike Shanahan impression. It was probably one of the best rookie shows I've ever seen. Just getting up in front of the room as if he would on a Monday after a win or a loss, and just really just going through that. That was a good one. That was probably one of the better ones. Just watching the fans come out. Honestly, like that first year. After RG3's rookie year, when we first went to Richmond, I've never seen so many people at a practice in my life. And honestly, I felt like that was a game environment. Every day was good, and we still finished 3-13. But whatever, training camp was dope. It was a good experience. And, we learned a lot about each other that year.
That's huge. And, since you talked about RG3, and I don't think people realize it, but unless you were in the district, the RG3 mania was unreal, unlike anything I've ever seen. And I've lived here my entire life. I mean, RG3 jerseys were everywhere. He was our Superman, maybe a god to some. I mean, literally just worshipped and praised. What was it like playing with RG3?
RG was the man. I mean, he was bigger than Obama. I don't care what nobody said. We were in a room.
It's
he was
true.
on one side.
To it.
He was on one side. Barack was on the other. People flocked to RG, and I'm like, damn, that's the president, though. Whatever. But at the end of the day, he was a great dude. His rookie year, like I said, he just did some things that I've never seen. I mean, we had some plays happen that shouldn't have ever happened, but we had guys, we had angels. It was unfortunate to see how it ended for him, but he's doing good now. I think he's doing some TV stuff now and still trying to get back in the ball. But that rookie year, there was nothing like it. Nothing like it. at all.
Look,
7-game win streak.
Look, I mean, again, Washington was on the highest of highs, and the fans want that back. Look, we got spoiled during the RG3 era because that's what fans want back. So let's talk about our Washington football team. We're talking about quarterbacks. We've got a new guy in town, Darrel, by the name of Ryan Fitzpatrick. NFC East is looking real interesting. People are saying the Washington football team can repeat. They're looking pretty good. We know Dak is back. We know Jalen Hurts in Philly. What are your thoughts on Washington and some of the moves they made this offseason?
I'm cool with it because I'm in the AFC now, so we can play them in the Super Bowl. But no,
you're in the AFC North. A lot of good teams in the AFC North too.
A lot of good teams. But it was good to see Fitzmagic. You know, he's put a lot of guys out of jobs. People don't know that, but he's put a lot of guys out of jobs. But having that short stint in Carolina under Ron Rivera, I'm not surprised. The dude walks around the locker room. He's personable. You can have a conversation with him. I can call him right now. He'll pick up and say hello, by first name. So it just talks to the culture that he's trying to set. But, Chase Young, I had a chance to meet McLaurin over the offseason. I mean, a hell of a young dude. Like, they got something good. Yeah, they got something good going over there. Yeah, absolutely. They got some good things going on over there. And I'm excited to see, what they're able to do. That coaching staff was in Carolina. So, Randy Jordan is still there. He's the running back coach. He was my running back coach in DC as well, too. But, they got some good pieces gelling over there. But I just need them to go. I don't even know. It's 17 games still, 18 game schedule now. I don't even know the numbers anymore. But I just need the one loss to beat us in the Super Bowl. I'm cool with that.
Now the Washington fans are turning away from you. Like, we had you back for this long. Like, now we have to let you go. And
Washington always be home. Washington always be home.
You talk about that extra game that we have. I'm curious from the players that you talk to, have they been pretty much a fan of it? Are they worried about it? Just kind of what's been your overall reaction to that?
Yeah, it's guys aren't happy, but at the end of the day, like, you got to try something, and we understand this is a business at the end of the day. So they got to make up. They lost a lot of money last year due to COVID, so they got to find a way to make it up. So I'm not surprised that they went this route. But at the end of the day, it gives you another opportunity to do something that you love. And if you love it, you go do it with a passion, and don't worry about that extra game. It's just another opportunity to showcase what you're doing.
It's another opportunity to showcase what you're doing. Again, we are all so excited about that. Just lots coming up. Darrel, what's next for you? I mean, I know you're doing a bunch in the community. You're back in Amityville, but what's next for Darrel Young and as you continue to write your story?
Yeah, so I'll get this master's in December. I'll be done with that.
Congratulations. Look, we love to see it. There's nothing like being mastered, all right? Get your master's degree. I love it.
I'll be done with that. And I want to start this route to being a GM, honestly. I said athletic director since I was younger, and both, similar paths, a little different, obviously in some ways. But I see myself in one of those leadership seats and making an impact and intentionality behind just serving players of where they are, but also serving the people who are serving the players, so I see myself in one of those roles, and I'm going to start my journey into that now. And I have Kevin Colbert and Omar Khan to kind of shadow right now with a great head coach. So starting to write my book of what that'll look like when I put my staff together.
That's exciting. And talking about great GMs, covering sports in this area, Ozzie Newsome comes to mind when we're just talking about like all-time greats. I'm speaking into existence for you. We see it coming. You are obviously somebody that puts, actions behind his words and goes after what you want. So I see it happening. And that master's degree is just going to be the start of it. I'm so excited to continue. Like, I know all the work that you put into it, but it's going to pay off. And again, just so proud of the work that you're continuing to do. We will wish the Pittsburgh Steelers, we'll wish them luck here, right? Except against our Washington team. But other than that, we wish them all the luck in the world. Even though y'all again have maybe not the easiest road, the AFC North looks good, right? You got Lamar Jackson back, and of course, Lamar just continues to impress the masses. We got Joey Burrow back, and we know how promising he was until that injury. So it's going to be a good one for Pittsburgh. Very excited to see how things play out.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting. But at the end of the day, everyone has an opportunity to win. It's the NFL, and we can all support our favorite teams or whatever. You just want to see guys walk away happy.
Yes.
Obviously there's only one team happy, but just make a difference, however that looks this year. And, you hope to be that team that's holding the Lombardi Trophy at the end of the year.
I love that. Before I let you go, just what's the one piece of advice you give to guys right now who are kind of just facing adversity in the National Football League, maybe trying to get to a team, got cut, just don't know what's next for them in their future career? What would that piece of advice be? What would that tidbit be from Darrel?
So this is another quote that I live by. Don't complain about having a lot on your plate when your goal is to eat. So everything has a process to it. Don't worry about it. It'll shape out the way it's supposed to, but Literally, don't complain. When you said that you would do anything to get there, now that you have a lot on your plate, you're not willing to do it anymore. It's called adversity. It's the same thing when the offense throws an interception. You got to go get them, and then hope the defense stops them. It's the same thing. So don't complain about having a lot on your plate when your goal was to eat.
I love that. Just words well said. Tell your little one we said hello, Darrel. I appreciate you taking time out to join me on this show, letting me cut into your New York time. And look, I would say I couldn't tell that you were the baby of the family. Very well spoken.
Yeah. I'm spoiled. I'm spoiled.
Look, nothing wrong with it. Embrace it. Well, we hope you, again, continue to stay safe. So glad that your family is doing better. And again, thank you for joining me right here live on Listen In with KNN. Darrel Young, again, former Washington football team fullback. You guys check him out. He's doing amazing and incredible things. He's one of the rare people that really isn't active on social media except LinkedIn. But we know LinkedIn is important. So look, don't LinkedIn.
It's a resume.
It is. It's a resume. So if you want to check him out, you got to check him out there, y'all. Again, he's not active on Twitter or Instagram, but check out all the great stuff he's doing. Watch out for Pittsburgh. And again, just continue to support the work that he's doing. Darrel, thanks again so much for joining. Stay safe and have a wonderful weekend.
Thank you. Appreciate you, man.
Thanks so much. Have a great one. Bye. All right, everyone. Thanks again so much for tuning in to the special live stream edition of Listen In with KNN. A very special thank you to Darrel Young. We will be back next week, so continue to follow along. We're counting down to football. We're counting down to Tokyo. I also have to give a very special thanks to Colin Jackson, the former Olympic hurdler, for joining me on the show, a former Olympic medalist for joining me on my audio show. Check that out on iTunes, Google Play, and Spotify. You won't want to miss it again. Lots of great episodes coming up. I'm staying local, though. We will have a McKinley Tech graduate on my next audio version of the show. So, again, check that out. That'll be coming out next week on Wednesday, and I cannot wait for you all to see the special guest that will join me again. We're counting down to training camp. Lots of exciting announcement. I will have my own exciting announcement, so you all will have to stay tuned. As always, be sure to hashtag Listen In with KNN or hashtag LIWKNN with anything that you liked or learned from the show. I'll see you all next week. Stay safe and have a wonderful July weekend. Bye, guys.
Follow Kelsey on social media at The Real K Nelson. Catch episodes of Listen In with KNN on YouTube, on air at AM 1340 and 96.9 FM Fox Sports Radio, on Facebook and Twitter, and online at KelseyNicoleNelson.com. Thank you for watching this live stream broadcast of Listen In with KNN.
Listen In with KNN on Fox Sports Radio now offers official Kelsey Nicole Nelson apparel in a variety of styles for men and women. Fashionable shirts, leggings, hats, jackets, and more. Order now and get 15% off and free shipping. Just enter promo code KNN. Get your Listen In with KNN wearables today. And check out Listen In with KNN on Fox Sports Radio with Kelsey Nicole Nelson.